Hi guys, it's your guy Greg Giants here with another NFL video. Not a Giants video, still trying to finalize all their coaching hires, whether it's their O-line coach, offensive coordinator, all that stuff, etc., etc. But pretty much, this is an exercise I've been wanting to do for a while. That's ranking the top 10 coaching hires. Now, this was kind of tough, especially teams 10 and 9. But regardless, I've just really been looking forward to doing this video, so I'm just going to begin. At number 10, I have the Arizona Cardinals hiring Mike LaFleur from the Los Angeles Rams as their offensive coordinator, even though it's Sean McVay's offense, and I believe Sean McVay called plays. Mike LaFleur, I really have no problems with. It's more the Arizona Cardinals situation, and for somebody who really likes the Arizona Cardinals, as them being my second favorite team, there's just a lot of problems with this team. For one, they don't really have that many great players. I mean, they have Will Johnson, they have Trey McBride, they have Budda Baker, who just won the Walter Payton of the Year, no, the Competitive Year Award, whatever that is, so congratulations to Budda Baker. But rather than that, they really don't have much else on this team. And that's really a shame. I feel like they're going to be stuck, honestly. Especially, and this is another point of mine, they're in the toughest division in the NFL. You have the Seattle Seahawks, who are in the Super Bowl this year, who just won 14 games. You have the Rams, who won 13 games. And then you have the 49ers, who had a bunch of injuries and won 12 games. This is, to me, why this is the worst out of everybody, because it's just impossible for any head coach to really try to turn this around with three juggernauts in your division. The 9th team, I believe, is worse than the Cardinals, but the Cardinals are just in a tougher situation than the number 9 team. It's really just a shame. It also doesn't help when Mike LaFleur hires Nathaniel Hackett. I'm hoping to God Mike LaFleur calls plays, because Nathaniel Hackett's been terrible everywhere he's gone, but you can't hire him if you're Mike LaFleur really trying to prove yourself as a head coach. That was not a good hire in my eyes. I don't care if he's good at developing the offensive game plan and all that shit. You can't make that hire there. You have to hire somebody else. And I know it's Arizona Cardinals and all I mentioned. Why would anyone want to come here? You gotta have other connections other than that. Like, I just don't like it. I really don't. For the Cardinals, it's a damn shame. But on the bright side, they have the 3rd overall pick, and they have $42 million in cap space. Even without having to do anything with Kyler Murray, who more than likely might end up getting traded anyway. I don't know if anyone's going to take that contract. Maybe the Jets, just to have some quarterback, since Aaron Glenn is kind of up shit's creek without a paddle right now. He's going to need something to go his way, but rather than that, I don't see who takes on Kyler Murray's contract, if even half of it. So, I wish the Cardinals the best of luck, but man, it's looking really tough for them. It really is. Number 9 I have here, Jeff Hafley got hired by the Miami Dolphins. Again, kind of just the same with the Arizona Cardinals. Besides Jalen Waddle and Devon A-Chain, I don't see really what else they have here. Like, I just don't think the Dolphins are that well put together. And honestly, they fired Mike McDaniel to try to get John Harbaugh, who got hired by the New York Giants. And then they settled on Jeff Hafley. And they hired a general manager from Green Bay, so I guess he brought on Jeff Hafley. I don't know if that was the plan the whole entire time, but I believe once they knew they were out on Harbaugh, that's when they hired that GM, and then they hired now Jeff Hafley. Jeff Hafley did okay as the Green Bay Packers defensive coordinator, but once Micah Parsons got hurt, that's just when all things turned to hell for them, and he really couldn't do anything. They blew a 21-3 lead against the Chicago Bears. And I'm sorry, once their defense wasn't doing as well because one player went down, I was kind of down on Jeff Hafley. I didn't want him at all. I just don't think this is going to work out for the Miami Dolphins. They should have just kept Mike McDaniel. Was he perfect? No, but he could call offense. He really could call offense. And then you have the big elephant in the room, and that's Tua. With his big contract, I don't know if they're going to try to trade him. I don't know if they're just going to flat out cut him, but Tua's not good. And two is holding a lot back on that team. And also, not to mention, they also have negative $16 million in cap space. So rather, they're going to have to try to restructure Tua, which means you would have to keep him another year. Or just restructure a bunch of contracts. But I just don't know, man. Regardless, I don't like the situation the Miami Dolphins are in right now. I don't like Hafley as a head coach. I wish the Miami Dolphins the best of luck in the world, but again, I just don't see how this works out for them. The only positive, I guess, you have the Jets in your division. That's why I went with the Cardinals as the worst, because they have three juggernaut teams in their division. The Bills, besides Josh Allen, aren't that well put together. The Jets are the Jets. They're probably going to be the worst team in the league this year, probably paring with the 2020 Miami Dolphins or 2019 Miami Dolphins. That's how bad this Jets team's going to be. And then you have the New England Patriots, who are also in the Super Bowl, but you don't know. They could take a step back. That team is still not all that talented. They have some pieces, yeah, but Mike Vrabel really does make that team great. He really does, So pretty much that's just going to be it for Miami. I wish them all the best of luck in the world, but to me, this is not a good hire. This is a D hire in my eyes. Number 8, and this is going to shock some people, I have the Buffalo Bills promoting offensive coordinator Joe Brady to head coach. First and foremost, this man does not deserve to be a head coach. As I mentioned in my Broncos-Bills rant in that game, Joe Brady sucks. I don't see what good this benefits the Buffalo Bills. They wanted to do this shit. They should have just hired Brian Daboll at this point. I don't like Joe Brady. And to me, that's a problem. Like, just a big problem, whether you have Josh Allen or not. But besides having Josh Allen, I don't really see any other positives with this job. I mean, they have some talent. Their offensive line's okay. They have Greg Rousseau. But rather than that, I just don't. This roster's not great, and that's a big thing. Like, Josh Allen carries this roster a lot. And, to be honest, Sean McDermott getting fired was the right move, but they also should have fired Brandon Beane, the general manager, and they didn't do that. This is typical 2016 New York Giants, where we fired Tom Coughlin, but kept Jerry Reese, who was absolutely terrible. And I think the Bills are going to learn the hard way. They should have just cleaned house. Also, this job would have been much more appealing. In the whole entire time Brandon Beane has been our general manager for the Buffalo Bills, he's only drafted 2 Pro Bowlers besides Josh Allen out of 56 players. That's 3 out of 56. Like, I mean, what are we doing here? Brandon Beane is not good at his job. He's just not. Like, 100%, he's just not. Also, they have negative $7 million in cap space, but worst comes to worst, they could just restructure Josh Allen, cut some players and stuff. That's not the worst, but Brandon Beane should have went. Just never liked the guy's attitude. He thinks he's the smartest guy in the room, and you're just not. You got lucky. You hit on Josh Allen, who ended up being a great quarterback after year 3, because his first 2 years, he sucked. Everybody, including me, thought he was a bust, and then he turned it around, so honestly, he should have just went. He honestly should have just been fired. But it is what it is. I don't think Joe Brady's going to really do much to help this team. Unless Josh Allen carries them to the playoffs again. I wouldn't be surprised if this Bills team only wins like 8 or 9 games. I'm just not a fan of this hire at all. There's no coaching advantage you get from this. Joe Brady, to me, is not ready to be a head coach. And he honestly should more have been fired and handed the pink slip than promoted to head coach. So, it is what it is. But number 7 now, I have Todd Monken, the Cleveland Browns. To be completely honest, and I'm going to be a bit biased here because I'm a Giants fan, Todd Monken really fucked us up. Honestly, because now, because of that, we hired Matt Nagy. We were going to hire Todd Monken. So I'm pissed at Todd Monken, but at the same time, on the other hand, I understand Todd Monken's position here. He's 59 years old, going to be 60. There was 10 coaching openings. This was the only job he was going to get. It was between him, it was between Jim Schwartz, it was between the Jags offensive coordinator, and it was between the Rams passing coordinator, I think Nate Schulhouse or whatever his name is. But the Browns ended up picking Monken. From their perspective, this isn't that bad of a hire because he is a good offensive coordinator. I don't know how he's going to be as a head coach, but he can call plays. The only big problem with the Browns is their quarterback's questionable. Don't know if it's going to be Shador. Don't know if it's going to be Dylan Gabriel. Like, honestly, we just don't know. I don't know if they're going to draft somebody. They could draft Ty Simpson. I doubt it. But I think Shador Sanders is going to have one more year to prove himself, and if he doesn't do it, the Browns are just going to pick a quarterback in the stacked 2027 class, but Shador's got to really do well this year, and I think Todd Monken gives him the best chance to do that. We're just going to see what happens with that. But overall, their roster's not that bad. Offensively, they have Judkins, who's been a great running back, great rookie year. They have Vannon, the tight end, who was great, one of the better tight ends in the league. Their defensive roster is great. Yes, they're going to lose Jim Schwartz, unfortunately, which is one of the negatives, which is why I personally think they should have just promoted Jim Schwartz to head coach. He deserved it. But this defensive talent's great. You have Myles Garrett, you have Carson Schlesinger, you have Denzel Ward. You just have a bunch of talent there. So, it's not too bad you're losing Schwartz. They just gotta hire a good defensive coordinator, a guy who's been there and done it before, and I think the Browns will be fine, but man, I mean, looking at it here, the Browns have the 6th overall pick. I think they'll go wide receiver. I think they need to go wide receiver, because that's one of their weaknesses. It's wide receiver and it's offensive line for the offense. I mean, Cardinals Tate would be a great pick for them to pair up with Jerry Jeudy. Maybe they go offensive line, they go Fano, they go Francis from Miami. Either or, I think those are going to, one of those two players, maybe even Tyson wide receiver, those 3 players are going to be the Browns pick. Whoever I think falls to them, they're going to pick. But this Browns team's not set up all that badly. And they have $3 million in cap space, so again, you can just free shit up. Also, they can just restructure, what's his name, Deshaun Watson, to get some extra money. You'll have to keep him another year, but that's like 40, 50 million extra amount of cap space you could get to really help your team, so I think the Browns are in a good spot. Do I think this is going to work out for Cleveland? Probably not, because it's Cleveland. As a Giants fan, I hope he falls on his face, because he really fucked us up really badly. But from a Browns perspective, if Todd Monken really is that guy and turns Shador Sanders around, this Browns team, and not the toughest division in the world, the Cincinnati Bengals, yes, they have Joe Burrow, but they have no defense, so I think the Browns could carve them up. Beat the Bengals last year and almost beat them week 1, but lost by a point. The Steelers hired Mike McCarthy, and Aaron Rodgers is probably going to stay, so we don't know how they're going to do, but I mean, the Steelers are good defensively also, but I think the Browns could beat the Steelers. I don't see how they don't. It just depends, really. And then the Ravens, they're probably the best team in this division, but they just hired a new head coach, so we're going to see how that goes. But the Browns have a pretty good chance if Shador is that guy, or if they draft a quarterback in the 27 class. This Browns team really could surprise people. So personally, from an unbiased perspective, I like the hire. Guys are starting to go places, so they just hired Monken. They hired the offensive guy, but maybe they should have gone younger, but who knows? Let's see how Todd Monken does. But now we're going to move on to number 6, and to me, that is the Las Vegas Raiders with Clint Kubiak. Not officially hired yet, because the Seahawks still have to play in the Super Bowl, but probably Monday they'll announce it officially that Clint Kubiak's been hired. And honestly, Clint Kubiak deserves it. He deserves to be a head coach. I wish it wouldn't have been the Raiders, because, well, fuck them. Because of the bullshit tanking they pulled, they don't deserve Clint Kubiak. But at the end of the day, the Raiders are not that bad of a team. The talent's lacking, yes. Besides Bowers, Genty, and Crosby, their team needs work, but with, how much is it? Let's see, $91 million in cap space. They could fix that. They could honestly fix that really quickly. And Clint Kubiak has been one hell of a play caller. Sam Darnold, having Sam Darnold go to a Super Bowl, being the 1 seed in the NFC, is phenomenal. It really is phenomenal. So Clint Kubiak absolutely deserves this. The son of Gary Kubiak, who won the Super Bowl 10 years ago. So, I mean, that's just incredible right there, but gotta say, again, the Raiders are in a good spot. They have the first overall pick, more than likely going to be Fernando Mendoza. They have great cap space, like I said. Crosby, more than likely, is going to probably still be a Raider. I thought he was going to get traded, but Max Crosby said that was fake news. So, again, I think the Raiders are in a good spot. They'll be able to build this team back up quickly. In a year or two, they could be a playoff team. Also, just depends how Fernando Mendoza does. But with Clint Kubiak there, I think he's going to do well, which pisses me off. Because, again, the Raiders don't deserve this shit. But, again, this is just from a Giants fan's perspective. But it's just gonna be interesting. Their division's not all that tough either. The Chiefs, their roster's not all that great. They've taken a step back. Mahomes tore his ACL, so he's going to probably be back more toward the middle of the season, so they have a chance there. Then you have the Denver Broncos, who I absolutely think are frauds. I think, yeah, besides them just being frauds, I think the Raiders, who almost beat them twice last year, by the way, even with the shit they've had, Geno Smith, Aiden O'Connell, I think they have a good chance. And then the Chargers are just, they're frauds too. So I think the Raiders have a good chance. I don't think they'll win the division next year, but in 2 years, they really could be a threat. Again, they could be a playoff threat. Who knows? And if they really do turn around, they could end up being a Super Bowl threat. So the future is looking bright for the Raiders, unfortunately. But we'll just see what happens. That's all you can do with football. Number 5 for me, and this is going to surprise a lot of people, but you all know I didn't like this hire if you watch my videos, and this is John Harbaugh for my New York Football Giants. Again, I wanted Chris Shula, I wanted Clint Kubiak, I would have even taken McCarthy. I did not want John Harbaugh at all. And I guess I'm previewing a bit for my big coaching video, since it's not done, but I do not like this offensive staff, period. I really don't. Now, I will give John Harbaugh some credit, though. He fired Kevin Abrams, which makes me happy. We hired another person, her name's Dawn something, who I think is going to do a fantastic job for us when it comes to the cap room and all that stuff. She was the girl we hired, the woman we hired, was the right-hand woman by Roger Goodell at the cap space and all that shit, negotiations. So I think that's going to really do well for us. Also, I love the defensive staff that John Harbaugh's put together. I love Denard Wilson. And now a lot of people wanted Jim Leonard and they wanted Anthony Weaver, but regardless, I like Denard Wilson because he specializes in secondary, and that is the Giants' biggest weakness on paper. He could turn Deonte Banks' career around, he could turn Tyler Nubin around. It all just depends. Really, as the defensive coordinator, he did a good job for the Tennessee Titans. Last year, it's just some injuries, and Titans aren't all that talented. People seem to forget that. So I was all on board with that. Their special teams coordinator, Chris Houston, we got from the Baltimore Ravens. He's one of the better special teams coaches, coordinators in the league, so I love that a lot. But where John Harbaugh fucks with me is this offensive staff. I do not like this offensive staff. I'm sorry. You can't hire Matt Nagy as your offensive coordinator. That, to me, is bullshit. I hope it works out for the Giants in hiring Greg Roman as a senior assistant. Probably more likely going to help with the run game, which makes me feel better about Matt Nagy, but why did you hire Matt Nagy? Like, what are you doing, man? You could have hired somebody. You could have hired Cliff Kingsbury. Like, what is he doing? Again, I don't want to get into a big tangent since this is just the coaching hires, but Lord almighty. As for the Giants themselves, the roster's not all that bad. They have a bunch of blue-chip players, which is like Andrew Thomas, Dexter Lawrence, could be Jackson Dart. The Giants' problem is they don't have enough red-chip players. They don't have enough above-average players at multiple positions, and that's what's fucking them over. But hopefully John Harbaugh can fix that, being the CEO, head coach, really running the team now. But again, it just is what it is. The Giants' cap space is $6.9 million, but with restructures and shit, you can get that up to $40-50 million cuts, all that. So not really worried about that. But the most important thing to this John Harbaugh hiring is the Giants have Jackson Dart. To me, he is a franchise quarterback. He's proven enough last year. Hopefully, Matt Nagy doesn't completely drag him to the ground. But if Jackson Dart could just carry everybody, I'll be good with that as well. But in a C, this to me is a C hire. I did not like it all. Honestly, doing this, I should have just put Kubiak above Harbaugh, but I wanted to give Harbaugh some respect since he's won a Super Bowl, he has a winning record. But again, as a Giants fan, John Harbaugh is going to have to prove it to me, but I am not happy with this offensive staff. And then we hired an O-line coach who was the Browns' O-line coach last year. Bunch of injuries, yes, but it's like, really? Like, just really, man? So, again, we're just going to have to see what happens, but moving on to number 4 now, it is the Pittsburgh Steelers. It is Mike McCarthy. A lot of Steeler fans hate this hire. I personally like this hire for them. One, you're going to probably get Aaron Rodgers again next year, which a lot of Steeler fans don't want, which I understand. They want Aaron to go, but what other plan do you have? You have no other quarterback, really, except maybe Will Howard. But I was also going to bring that up, too. Mike McCarthy is an offensive guru-type coach. Been really an offensive coordinator, I think, since 2000 with the Saints, and then he became the Packers head coach with Favre, Rodgers, all that shit. I think Mike McCarthy could develop their quarterback. It seems whatever team he goes to, he gets the best out of his quarterbacks. And that's what the Steelers need. They need good quarterback play. Personally, I think they should draft a quarterback. But I don't know if Mike McCarthy's going to do some Mike Tomlin type shit. But Mike McCarthy's had losing seasons before. So worst comes to worst, if you're a Steelers fan, just hope you have a losing record with Mike McCarthy. Trade up for one of these quarterbacks in the 27 class, and then just let Mike McCarthy develop them. Like, I think a lot of Steelers fans were taking this hire blowing it out of proportion, but I think it could be good for them. I really do. They still have a tremendous, excellent defensive side of the ball. TJ Watt, Hayward, all that shit. Again, we're just going to have to see what happens. They have $44 million in cap space. That helps them. Their offensive line's not too bad. So, again, we're just going to see what happens with the Steelers. But, again, I like the hire. I would give this a B. Honestly, looking back on it, they had a chance to hire Krishula. They didn't. Apparently, he blew the interview with the Steelers. I just think very highly of Krishula. And it's really fortunate for the Rams. They get to keep Krishula as their defensive coordinator next year. And Krishula, to me, I believe he will get a job in 2027. So we'll just have to see what happens with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Moving on to number 3, I have the Atlanta Falcons, Kevin Stefanski. I think the Browns should have kept Stefanski. They honestly maybe should have just fired Andrew Berry, who sucks. But I like this hire for the Falcons. Kevin Stefanski can help quarterbacks. He helped Baker Mayfield. He did well with Joe Flacco. Now, Deshaun Watson never really fit his system, so to me, that's why that didn't work out. And then Shedeur Sanders. I'm sorry, I don't care what anybody says to me. Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry did not want to draft Shedeur Sanders. If they wanted to draft Shedeur Sanders, they would have drafted him much earlier in the draft. They probably would have used their second-round pick on him, to be completely honest, and not have taken Judkins if they really wanted him. That was a Jimmy Haslam pick. They were pretty much hostages. They did not want Shedeur Sanders. So when people were like, he was sabotaging Shedeur Sanders, he just didn't want him. Like, I don't know if he was purposely sabotaging him, but again, if the coach doesn't want that player, I mean, is anyone really surprised? So, I like this, though, for the Atlanta Falcons. Rather, it's going to be Michael Penix. Unfortunately, though, he tore his ACL or Achilles, whatever it is. Another big injury to him. So, it'll be Kirk Cousins, probably. Maybe they'll sign somebody in free agency. But, again, this isn't bad for the Falcons. This is a good hire for them. They also have a really good offensive side of the ball. They have Drake London. They have Kyle Pitts if they decide to re-sign him. They have Bijan Robinson. Good offensive line. And then they hired Bill Callahan. That was another huge part of this. Legendary offensive line coach. I think the Falcons hit a home run here. And then their defensive side of the ball is not bad either. James Pierce, who did great. I forgot their other first round pick they picked. I can't remember on the top of my head, but Xavier Watts did well at safety. They have AJ Terrell still. They kept Jeff Ulbrich as their defensive coordinator. So again, not bad for the Falcons. They could really turn it around. At this point, maybe they could win the NFC South. The Buccaneers, they keep getting injured. Todd Bowles, honestly, maybe he should have been fired. Maybe he's holding them back. But if they can get the quarterback play right, this Falcons team could win 9 to 10 games. They could win this NFC South. Because the Saints aren't all that good. They still need to rebuild their team. Carolina Panthers, I feel, got a bit lucky last year. And they kind of won the NFC South off of some bullshit. But I think the Atlanta Falcons have a really good roster, and they have a really good chance. So I love this hire for them. So we're just going to see what happens, but I'm rooting on for the Falcons. Number 2 now, and I love this for them. The Tennessee Titans hiring Robert Saleh. Robert Saleh was a great coach for the Jets. The only problem was they got the quarterback wrong. They got it wrong with Zach Wilson. But that defense for the Jets, throughout his whole entire tenure, was a top defense in the league. But why this is such a great hire? Well, one, they already have the quarterback in Cam Ward, which is fantastic for them. 2, yes, they're not that talented on defense besides Jeffrey Simmons, but Robert Saleh could turn the shit around. I would not be surprised if the Titans' first pick is Ruben Bain or it's David Bailey. I believe it's gonna be somebody on defense, because Robert Saleh does need that. But besides from that, the Tennessee Titans also have the most cap space in the league with $104 million, which is fantastic for them. They hired former Giants head coach Brian Daboll to be their offensive coordinator. Now, I've said it before, Brian Daboll to me isn't the best play caller, but he can develop quarterbacks. He helped develop Jackson Dart. He can make a great offensive game plan. His offensive play calling just needs to be better. But I think this is a home run hire for the Tennessee Titans. And then they also got former Giants offensive line coach Carmen Versillo, who, speaking from experience, he was a great offensive line coach. I did not want him to leave. And this is also one of the reasons why I'm pissed at John Harbaugh as a Giants fan. You couldn't afford to let Carmen Versillo go. And it's really a damn shame, but this is great for the Tennessee Titans. I mean, he could turn Latham around. Dan Moore, he could help him. Not really familiar on their guards and center, but this is a home run. That's also a home run hire for the Tennessee Titans. And also, they're not in the toughest division either. Like, Houston, they have a great defense, but C.J. Stroud's been struggling. Don't know if he's going to ever fix that. The Colts, they could be a one-year wonder. Daniel Jones, I don't know how long he's going to be out for them. Maybe they go back to Richardson. Maybe they sign a quarterback in free agency. Who knows? But the Colts are the Colts. And then you have the Jacksonville Jaguars, who won this division last year. Again, we're just going to see with the Jacksonville Jaguars. But I think the Tennessee Titans have a good chance. I don't think they'll win the division next year, but they could be a playoff contender in 2 years from now. I really love this hire for them. I really do. You got a guy who specializes in defense. You have a guy who can really help the offense in Daboll. Like, again, I think this is just an absolutely great hire for the Tennessee Titans. They did it right. They honestly did it right. So, just going to have to see what happens. And then number 1, for me, it is the Baltimore Ravens with Jesse Minter. Now, This is his first time being a head coach. He was Jim Harbaugh's defensive coordinator in San Diego, but... I'm not San Diego. The Chargers. The Los Angeles Chargers. But regardless, he has hired a great staff. They have an elite roster. They have an elite quarterback in Lamar Jackson. They have a great general manager in Eric DeCosta. And they have $22 million in cap space, which is also very nice. Especially with all this talent, I'm surprised they're positive in cap space, but I think the Ravens will win this division next year. Jesse Minter was one hell of a defensive coordinator, so I think he's going to call it defense. I don't see how this isn't number one. And then the staff he's hired so far. Offensive coordinator from the Bears. I can't remember his name, but he was under Ben Johnson. So it's pretty much like Mike LaFleur, the Cardinals. He was under Sean McVay. So we're going to see how this offense does, but the offense can't be any worse. So we'll see how it does. It also helps you have Lamar Jackson. You have Derrick Henry. You have Bateman. You have Mark Andrews. Isaiah Likely, I don't know if they sign him back, but... And their offensive line's not all that bad either, so again, we're just going to see what happens there. Defensively, they hired Anthony Weaver, who specializes in defensive line. The Ravens secondary with Kyle Hamilton, I feel like it's good enough. Their defensive line, I think, will get a massive boost from Anthony Weaver, so... Again, I just really like this hire for the Baltimore Ravens. It's going to be interesting to see how they do this season. I think they're going to do well. I think John Harbaugh held them back. I did not want John Harbaugh for my team. The Ravens did the right thing by firing John Harbaugh. It was time to go. It was time for change. But both those teams needed different things. The Ravens need a guy that can really motivate and really help their team. John Harbaugh, as a special teams coordinator, really wasn't doing that shit. At least if the defense starts to screw up and fuck up like it did last year, Jesse Minter could take over. Again, I don't know who's calling plays. I'm going to guess it's going to probably be Anthony Weaver since he's done it before. I think he was Miami's defensive coordinator last year or some shit like that. But, again, this really should work out for the Baltimore Ravens. If it doesn't, I'm going to be surprised. When it comes to head coaches, the Ravens do not fuck up. They absolutely don't. Rather, it was with Brian Billick or it was with John Harbaugh when they won their one Super Bowl. But so regardless, though, those are my top 10 coaching hires. I wish all these teams the best of luck, all their fan bases the best of luck. And it's just going to be interesting to see how free agency goes with these teams, how the NFL draft goes with these teams, and then the season. So, regardless, though, this is going to end the video. This has been your guy, Greg Giants. Please like, share, subscribe, and comment. And thank you for watching. See you next time, and peace.